Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Sunday service of Now Creations. Just nice to be with all of you here this morning. A few announcements before we begin today. First of all, I'd like to invite all of you to join us tonight for our service. Rather than having a testimonial tonight, we'll be having our topical conversation on love. It'll be from 6 to 7:30. Very happy if you're able to join us. And then also tomorrow night, when we have our Monday meditation from 7 to 8, I'll explain a little bit in my teaching today about how we go about it. It's a very, very powerful evening. I invite you to join us to be in the silence and then to allow the silence to speak to you. And then also, I think you would have received notice that my new book is out, The 3 U-Turns, A Guide to Higher Consciousness. It's a good book. It's a good book, and I think would be very helpful to many of you. I also want to make one final comment before we begin today, and that is that I felt that our seminar yesterday with the 25 who were able to attend has raised the consciousness of the membership of Now Creations. Being able to gather into higher consciousness bodes very well for our organization, and it certainly bodes very well for your family and friends, for humanity, and for the planet. It's a joy to move forward into the greater awareness. I also want to suggest you might want to take some notes in today's teaching. Today's teaching is a pretty powerful teaching, and it's the beginning for us to move forward. Let's begin. As I have mentioned in my previous teachings, I'm very intent on a theme that has been occurring to me over the past couple of years. This same theme came to me as a message when we were doing our Monday evening meditation. Let me explain. The first part of the Monday meditation is to simply sit in the silence and observe what the God Spirit is really saying to each one of us in the very deep realms of our own inner self. And then the second part of the meditation is when we ask the God Spirit to speak to us so that we might be able to hear a message and then take that message into our everyday living. It's a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to both focus in on the divine itself and to allow the divine to speak to each one of us. It's truly our higher self guiding our souls in our next directions of life. When we do this, some people get words, some people get symbols, some people get colors. But whatever someone gets has meaning for them. So one of our members said that she got the word simple, meaning not to allow life circumstances to weigh us down into complexity. That we simply bring our God Spirit into our daily living. It is simple. Don't make it complex. It is such a message that I also received that I want to share with you. And many, many, many times I've received this message, and it just seems like this is the time to really bring it forward. The message that I received the other night was, move it forward. Move it forward. It's not the first time I received that message, but when I heard that message again, I knew exactly what the message meant, that I am to move things forward in partnership with the God Spirit and with each other. Let me just say it again. The message was very clear that I would move things forward in partnership with the God Spirit and with each other. It was such a clear message, and it is a teaching that I would like to share with you today, going forward in partnership with the God Spirit and in partnership with each other. And let me ask that you turn your videos off, if you would please do that. Let's begin. As soon as this teaching came to me, there were two immediate directions that came with it. The first direction concerned the past. This directive was quite clear to me. It said that the more we focused on the past, especially having played the game of separation with its attendant fears and egoic worries, the more we attend to the past, the more we will be stuck in the needless, notice the word, needless exploration of what is no longer relevant in our lives. Many of us continue to live with guilt and shame from the past. We have to lay them aside. If you focus on them, they'll simply stay with you. This direction was very, very, very clear. Put behind you the things of the past. Go forward in a much more positive direction. Who we were in the past is not who we presently are. Course in Miracles will often say, as we look into the past, it was a case of mistaken identity. Allow this principle to put your past at rest. You have changed. You're different than who you were when you were playing the game of separation. It's now time to move into alignment, to move forward, which was the second direction that came to me. This second direction, this is very important, focused on the principles of partnering. It focused on the principles of partnering, the principles of partnering with God and partnering with each other. It is the first principle of partnership with God and with each other that I would like to focus on in today's teaching to move us forward. Again, you might want to take some notes. The first principle of partnering with God and each other concerns the quality of our decisions. Such decisions can mean your philosophy of life, such as the fact that you want to bring heaven to earth, or maybe just the quality of your daily decisions, such as bringing love into the events of your day. The quality of these decisions is determined by the starting place from which these decisions originate. I can't stress this enough, the importance of the quality of our daily decisions, as well as their point of origination. For many, many, many people, the starting place for their decisions is based on the external world, what the external world is presenting to them, and maybe how their rational mind tries to deal with those situations. For many people, the starting point is their life circumstances, and from a very self-centered, egoic view of life. For those of us who are moving forward, in partnership with God and with each other, the starting point of our decisions is quite different. The starting point of our decisions begin upon awakening in the morning and simply dedicating the day to bringing the God Spirit into the events of the day. With this intention of bringing the God Spirit into the events of today, we then give our attention to the events of the day. Intention and attention from the God Spirit. As such, this intention of partnering with God and each other has an enormous advantage for us who are willing to look at our days from a much deeper perspective. This advantage of clearly presenting who we are at the beginning of the day was especially well presented in A Course of Miracles when it says, "Seek not to change the world, but rather seek to change how you see the world." So many people keep going around trying to change their external circumstances prior to, before, changing how they see the world, how they see their life circumstances. Seeing the world differently than just from your own limited perspective is so very, very important because when one sees the world differently from the God Spirit, they then understand that many others, this is so important, that many others can see the world differently from the same place. When you see the world from your God Spirit, you begin to realize that others can see the world from the same place. Let me explain. As you know, you are a soul that is individuating in the material world. You know that. You are simply doing your thing. But when you make your decisions from the God Spirit and partner with God and with each other, you begin to understand that you make these decisions from the same place, from the Holy Spirit that is within you. While you individuate as a soul, you make your decisions from the universal Spirit. This is what it means to be in partnership with God and with each other. The God Spirit becomes the conscious spiritual entity from which we make our individual soul choices. Say that again. The God Spirit becomes the conscious, universal spiritual energy from which we make our own individual soul choices. While each one of us will continue to make our individual choices, we can make them from the same place. We make them from the energy of the Holy Spirit, or we can very easily say we are making our individual decisions from love, from the Holy Spirit. Do you not begin to see that we now have a spiritual basis for the unity of human actions and of all humanity? We now have a basis of unity. We have the God Spirit as the universal basis for what we do. Again, not doing the same things, but rather doing things from the same place. This is so important to understand. It is this spiritual basis for decision-making that is the foundational hope for humanity. That we can come together in a sense of unity because we are coming from a universal place. Without a common spiritual basis for decision-making, the world will simply continue from self-centered individualism which is the kiss of chaos and turmoil, self-centered individualism, rather than partnership from the universal spiritual energy of the Holy Spirit. Now, some of you might rightly ask, is this a realistic view of life? It's a good question. I'm going to give you 3 answers and then an alternative. The first answer is how the quality of this decision-making, of partnering with God and partnering with each other, is working for you personally. What many of you are saying is that you are the happiest and the most content that you have ever been. This is not to be taken lightly. You are the happiest and the most content that you've ever been. So am I. You don't worry about what other people think of your actions because you are making your decisions from the universal Holy Spirit. And as you are doing these things, you realize that your own contentment has such a dramatic impact upon others. Others are happier with you, as well as you being happier within yourself. Living from the universal Spirit brings a contentment and a satisfaction to your life and into the lives of others. Living from the universal Holy Spirit simply works for the betterment of yourself and for others. It's that simple. Don't make it complex. The second answer. The second answer deals with the camaraderie that many of us now feel with other participants in the study groups and sessions of Now Creations. And we certainly felt it yesterday in the seminar on the authentic self. As one of our members wrote to me recently, I am so grateful for all that come together in this loving light, and I feel blessed to be a part of it. Let me just read that again. I am so grateful for all that come together in this loving light, and I feel blessed to be a part of it. Me too. And I think I speak for the rest of us, all of us too. Ever since we've been able to come together more regularly in our Zoom classrooms, more and more of us realize what we have in common. It is not just that we have the same concerns in common, but first and foremost, we have the same spirit in common. This having the same spirit in common has been quite a beautiful surprise, I think, for all of us. We are now able to move far beyond self-centered individualism to a shared universal spirit as the basis for our decision-making, a shared spirit as a basis for our decision-making. Surely we're not going to do the same things, but we have clearly understood and demonstrated that our individual decisions come from the same spirit, the same spiritual center, the God spirit that we share at the center of each one of us. We've inspired each other. We have. we have that connection and that support with each other, clearly knowing that we have a common spiritual basis of the Holy Spirit for our decision making, thus giving hope to all humanity to be able to do the same. There is a light at the end of the tunnel, and we are the light leading to that light. The third answer. The third answer is that there are many other groups and organizations, in addition to Now Creations, that are also making their decisions from a God-spirited foundation. Organizations such as the networks of A Course in Miracles and A Course in Mastering Alchemy, the Self-Realization Fellowship. Organizations such as the Unity Churches and the Evolutionary Leadership Organization, as well as individual leaders such as Eckhart Tolle and Mark Gaffney. They are making decisions from the same God Spirit and inspiring others to do the same. I believe that a world movement is gaining traction in providing an alternative to the old status quo. And you and I are conscious participants in this movement forward. Never, never doubt your significance. Speaking of the alternative, what is it? The alternative is simply a return to the old third dimensional model of the person in power controlling others, pushing and shoving. It's the old return to power and force that never worked in the past. It's the old me versus them. This attitude in politics, among nations, and sadly to say, within religions as well. There is no need for us to complain about things. We understand the sovereignty of each person in their own soul's journey. We don't need to complain about these things. We just need to keep on living, understanding that there is a new model of decision-making from the God Spirit within, and happy to join with others who are doing the same, whether within their own individual lives or within organizations. This is the first principle of going forward. Partnering with God and with each other by making decisions from our God Spirit. I'll say it again. This is the first principle of moving forward, of partnering with God and each other, making decisions from the universal, common God Spirit within us. And might I say, with a confidence and a certitude that is surprising even to us at times. In conclusion, I will be presenting other practical principles of partnering with the God Spirit and with each other. But for now, please look to your future. Let go of the past that no longer serves you. Who you are now is not who you were then. Please accept that for yourself and assist others to accept it for themselves. You've changed. we are ready to go forward in the God spirit with each other, partnering with that divine and with the divine within each one of us. We know who we are. We know who others are. And we are willing to move forward in this wonderful spirit of oneness. Let me now take you into meditation, and what a joy it is to do so. As we begin our meditation today, let us proceed as we normally do by simply focusing on the breath, allowing the breath to do what the breath does, to calm ourselves physically, to reduce the mind chatter, and to bring our soul to the fore. Please begin. And perhaps you've noticed again how easily it is to move into the inner you, that inner part of you that is becoming more and more your surface self. Very little distinction between the things going on in your mind and head and the inner you that is more and more in touch with the God Spirit. So let's begin today again by placing our hands over our sternum. And as we do so, to focus on the presence of the inner you right behind your sternum. Focus on the presence within your body of your soul self. Just feel that inner presence. And what I would like to do is to focus on how you make your decisions. For many people, they make their decisions reactively from their life circumstances. An event occurs, and they feel they have to respond to the event. Of course, we all have to respond to the event, but the question is, from where do you respond? From where do you respond? Many people respond from a sense of self-centeredness. Perhaps you've done that a lot in the past. That's how most people respond. It's pretty much what is in your self-interest. We're not talking about cutting the grass or putting gas in your car. We're talking about how you relate to people, what your philosophy of life is. And many people still are caught in self-centeredness. Even sometimes when you're being nice, you're still very self-centered. I don't say this negatively, but rather simply as a matter of fact. Many people simply react from their own self-interest. You know when you're tempted to do the same. It's the way that many of us were raised. Take care of yourself. Watch out for others. Be careful. All of those things simply result in the continuity of self-centered individualism. You clearly see that behavior in others. Some of your family and friends, certainly in the news. That you have changed. You have changed. When you now make your decisions, you now make them from the inner you, connected to the God Spirit. As you're sitting here right now at this moment, you are in connection with the God Spirit. Every one of us is. When you make your decisions, you make them from this universal energy, the Holy Spirit, the God Spirit. But just for a moment, understand that when you do this and others do it, we're doing it from the same universal energy. Many of us have begun the day already in this energy. Many of us have begun the day in the God Spirit. Our goal is simply to bring awareness to the planet, heaven to earth. It's our joy to do so. And we will live this way. We will live this way in the events of the day. We're not going to do the same things, but we do them from the same place. This is the basis for a possible unity within humanity. Many people will say, we're never going to be unified. We're never going to be unified in the stuff we do. We can be unified from the place, the universal place that gives direction to the stuff. Now, obviously, here's the most important thing. Which works better? Does your self-centered individualism work better than learning to have a more clear view of what's going on from your spiritual center, where you see not just the event, but the meaning of the event, which is working better for you? You got to keep asking yourself, which works better? Perhaps this will be a good question for you. How do you feel when you're self-centered? Does that make you feel good? When you're still trying to control and manipulate? As opposed to, how do you feel when you're more loving, more genuine? How does it feel? And I'm still going to say, which works better? Which works better for you? You've changed. We have changed. The game of separation has ended. We played it to the hilt, learned our lessons, and now we are moving it forward in partnership with the God Spirit and each other. This is our next step. It takes a lot of maturity to embrace this. It's a no-brainer that it does take mature individuals moving in this direction. Let's keep it simple.
I honor thee. I honor thee. Namaste. I honor thee. I honor thee. I honor thee. Namaste. I honor thee. Deep within, peace resets, faith abounds, and love abides. The light shines bright to illumine love without, love within. I honor thee. I honor thee. Namaste. I honor thee. I honor thee.
I think I failed to mention that as we make our decisions from the God Spirit within us, partnering with God and with each other, it brings us the most fun and the most joy in life. How did I overlook those two things? Namaste.